almost every employer that I speak to these days has the same problem that they're dealing with, and that's finding great people. The employment market today and recruiting top talent is clearly a challenge in every industry. For those of you in the construction and the skilled trade industry, by 2025, we're expecting a shortage of 60,000 employees. And it's almost like the housing market. There's high demand of people that are looking for homes and not enough homes. Well, when it comes to employees, there's a number of organizations that are looking for top talent, and essentially there's not enough employees that can fill those roles. So it's clearly a challenge. And a lot of individuals are not in the employment market due to the pandemic's lingering after effects. And just in general, COVID clarity, I guess, where employees are aligning themselves with their values and what they're looking for in their employer. And today I've invited one of my dear friends, Lisa Ludmer, to talk about this subject. Lisa is an executive search consultant who has over 25 years of experience in supporting organizations' vision, recruitment strategy, values, and aligning those with fitting the appropriate and the right individual in that role in all industries. And she has hired top talent from mid-management roles to executive roles. I'm so excited to have Lisa here to help you understand the recruitment market and how we can perhaps navigate through this challenge these days. Thank you so much, Lisa, for being here with me today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to see you and be here to help you and your clients always.
Thank you. So I'm going to get right into the first question. Lisa, what would you say is the most challenging recruitment issues, or what is the biggest recruitment challenge you're finding in today's market? And more importantly, how do we address that?
Great question. As you said before, supply demand. Mm-hmm. And you use the example as the housing market. So I tend to say candidates are like houses today. And because of the short supply of candidates, a lot of them have higher expectations. Yeah. And the clients have to be willing to pay more when they hire them. The greatest challenge is hiring the candidates are what their expectations are in terms of compensation. And that could really, really put a damper on internal equity.
Absolutely.
And if the internal equity is disrupted by hiring somebody at such a high level in order to attract them, we have a problem with retention for the other employees that are there.
Absolutely.
So it's very important that the client understands this challenge and they work together to create different solutions. For example, perhaps hiring them with a signing bonus.
Right.
And providing them with maybe a 10 to 15% increase in their salary in that form of a signing bonus, which won't disrupt internal equity.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. And what would you say, with respect to the low demand, right? How do you sell the candidates on the organization so that they are interested and want to take that opportunity at the new employer?
So it's very interesting. Employers today must be salespeople.
Yes.
They have to get together as a team before the candidate comes. As we know, it's a low supply of candidates, so they only may have one candidate, and they have to make this work. Mm-hmm. They have to be able to attract this candidate by getting together and discussing together to create consistency in their messaging to the candidate in the interviews. So they have to come up with value propositions. Mm. What makes this organization better than other organizations in terms of benefits, in terms of career growth, in terms of their vision for the future, and in terms of strategy, and really altogether sell the candidate on their organization.
I find that with that as well, it's about the culture fit. People want to align themselves with the right organization that have the same values as they do. Right? So in that light, how is it that you ensure that there's the right fit for, the organization that you're recruiting for? How can employers make sure that they are aligned or that from a candidate perspective as well, because with candidates watching, how do we make sure that there's the right fit so that, it's a positive long-term relationship?
So that is my job as a good recruiter. It's very important that I ask the right questions to both the employer and the candidate to understand what their culture is, and then to find out from the candidate what type of culture they want, what they're looking for, what their motivations are, and make sure that it's a match before the first interview, because the deal has to be done before that first interview. There should be nothing that the client doesn't know about the candidate in terms of culture, values, career goals.
Even in terms of succession plan, you mentioned that, long-term sort of vision. No one wants to hire someone that's going to just be there for a year for the short run. They want to have them there for the long run. So on that note, you talked about selling the candidates, aligning them with the cultural sort of fit, and how do we attract these candidates in general without disrupting internal processes? Why would you say, or perhaps you can comment or share with us, why is it important to have skilled and trained interviewers and decision makers part of that interview process? What would you say? Why is it so important?
It's very important for the candidate to feel that they're important in this interview, and they want to feel a part of the organization in the interview, that they're hearing the messages about the company from the top person. Sometimes they're meeting with the CEO, sometimes they're meeting with the CFO, the HR department, and their colleagues that they'll be working with, to really make sure that they feel comfortable and that the messaging is consistent.
So having trained interviewers really ensure the right messaging is what you're saying, and the fit. That's amazing. So when you talked a little bit about finding the right fit. So and talking to the candidate about aligning their values and their career path within the organization so that they have a succession plan. Why is it so important to have these conversations or understand that long-term plan of the candidate, and on the flip side of the employer?
Great question. So we want to make sure the employer has a career path for the candidate that helps sell the candidate. Where is the candidate going to be in 6 months from now, in a year from now, in 5 years from now? We also want to make sure that the candidate isn't motivated solely by money. So we want to make sure that the candidate finds out what is in it for them long term. So if they get a call from another headhunter, that's more money, they're not leaving, because all of their career goals are satisfied in this organization.
And it's funny you say that, because right now, like you said, in terms of the housing market, there's a lot of money that's driving sort of employees' decisions in terms of which employer they're going to be selected from, or that they're going to, reside at, if they're going to, with their long-term plan. So you're saying if the motivator is money, that's not the right fit.
Exactly.
Fair. That's amazing. Well, listen, thank you so much, Lisa, for being here today. I think you've provided some amazing insights for our viewers to understand, both from the employer perspective and the employee perspective, of how do we make a great sort of match and fit for organizations when recruiting. And if our viewers would like to hear more from Lisa and utilize her expertise, I welcome you to reach out. I can connect you with Lisa. She'll send an introductory email to be able to support your recruitment needs and really align your recruitment strategy with your vision and the values of the organization. Thank you again, Lisa, for being here. It's been such a pleasure. We look forward to having more conversations long term. And thank you again for our viewers.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here.